Hello, welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews, and this is my video on my thoughts of the first half of Westworld Season 4, up through episodes 1 through 4 of the 4th season. So it's not so much a review, it's just me giving my thoughts and feelings on the season so far, and I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about that 4th episode and the big reveals there, and my theories of things that I think may or may not happen moving forward. So with that said, you have to make extra sure that you heed this spoiler warning, and you absolutely do not watch this video or any other video on Westworld episode 4 unless you have seen up through the end of Westworld season 4 episode 4. Okay, you have been warned. So, in my previous life, when I used to have a YouTube channel called Actin Tomko's Reviews, I did review Westworld weekly for seasons 2 and 3. And I didn't review season 4 weekly because I'm kind of getting tired of weekly reviews. I was doing Obi-Wan and the Strange New Worlds at the same time. And also, it's the summertime, I'm busy doing other things, so I don't really have a lot of time to do weekly reviews. So I needed a little break. So I decided not to do weekly reviews for Westworld this time around. And honestly, I'm a little bit regretting it, although I still don't have time for it, so I'm still not going to do episodes 5 through 8 either, because there's no time for it. But I almost kind of wish I was doing reviews, because Westworld is one of those shows that you just need to talk about every week and process it and theorize. And it's a really fun show to theorize about. And also, if I had been doing reviews the last 3 weeks, I could have some bragging rights this week because I got a couple of things right. I got a couple of predictions correct. And now you just have to take my word for it. I predicted these things. I didn't predict everything. Let me say that. But I was on board with the theory that the woman who we met at the end of, or in the middle of last week's episode, who was going by C, was an older version of Frankie. And I didn't come up with that theory. I actually heard it from a podcaster who came up with the theory even before she appeared on the show, because the podcaster was familiar with the actress and knew that actress was going to be a big part of the show, and was like, oh, that actress is playing adult Frankie. So I already heard that theory ahead of time. So when I saw her and I was kind of looking at it in context, and one thing I really noticed was Stubb says to Bernard, "You've been gone for years." And I noticed he didn't specifically say 8 years. There was no reason to leave out that specific number. There was no reason to be vague unless they wanted to keep it a secret as to where this was when this was really taking place. So to me, it was pretty obvious that this was taking place in the future, and this was the adult Frankie. And I did make a comment on my brother's review about that. But one thing that I also thought of that I didn't make a comment on anyone's review, and I didn't put this out there publicly, so you'll just have to take my word for it, that I did actually predict this. To me, with Frankie being the adult version, that character that we met, and that storyline is taking place in the future, I was guessing 20-ish years in the future, then there is nothing else that weapon could possibly be other than Maeve. To me, that was a no-brainer. That is the logical weapon of choice that Bernard would need, because Maeve can control all the machines and all of that stuff. She would be a pretty powerful ally. But I was thinking that whatever Maeve's fate was wouldn't happen until the end of the season, and we would have these two different timelines going simultaneously, much like season 2 did, where season 2 had the future Bernard timeline and the present Bernard timeline. No, actually, rather it was I guess it was the present and the past. Whatever, you know what I mean. And then they kind of came together where the past timeline caught up with the future timeline by the end of the season. So I was thinking it was going to be something along those lines. But if they had done that, they would have had to keep Maeve a secret for a while. So I was thinking it would be revealed at the end of the season. And now that I've seen what they actually did, that's a lot better than what I came up with. They did way better than what I was thinking. So this is so much better. I'm just so used to Westworld not revealing things until the end that I was very pleasantly surprised that they had the reveal halfway through the season. I think that's amazing. And they haven't given us all the answers. We still have a lot of mysteries left, and I will have some theories on the Christina of it all a little bit later on in this video. But I was so pleasantly surprised. And though I predicted that it was in a future timeline, that's the adult Frankie, the weapon is Maeve, the thing with Caleb actually going through a fidelity test and being in that same timeline, I did not see coming at all. That completely blew my mind when that reveal came. I watched a YouTuber, one of my favorite YouTubers, Heavy Spoilers, who said that he thinks this is the best twist that Westworld has done since the big Bernard is a host twist in season 1. He puts it on that same level as that twist. Now, I will start by saying that for me, the Bernard is a host reveal in season 1 is what made me start liking the show. Because up until that point, I thought it was overrated. I didn't understand why everyone liked this boring show about cowboy robots, with a lot of techno babble and a lot of characters that weren't well developed and I didn't really care about. I didn't understand why people liked this show until that moment, and the moment where Ford kills Teresa. That is what hooked me into the show, and I've been a big fan of it ever since. So to me, that moment was absolutely one of the best twists in television history. I think a lot of movies and shows want to try to do a twist. Most of them are very predictable, or that they're just not that meaningful. There's I don't really care. Very rarely are twists done well anymore. In fact, I would say at least 90 to 95% of them suck, to be perfectly honest. And a lot of movies like to try to do them all the time. So to pull off a good twist is rare. Watchmen is another show that did it recently. But Westworld Season 1 pulled off one of those rare, really good twists. So do I agree that this is on that same level? Absolutely. Westworld is just really good with the twist, which says a lot for them because, as I said, most shows aren't. Even though I had figured out 2/3 of this equation, I figured out that this is in the future timeline with the Frankie adult and Maeve is the weapon. I figured that part out, but I had no clue about Caleb and when his storyline was actually taking place. And when Charlotte finally did the reveal, and right before she said the word fidelity, I ended up saying it with her. It was like, fidelity. We said it together because I was like, oh my God, it's for fidelity, because they did that a bunch in season 2. There was the whole James Delos thing, but then also the post-credit scene with the Man in Black, who, by the way, I think is probably some version of the Man in Black host that we are seeing now. Anyways, with that scene, it was also fidelity. So before she even said it, I knew she was going to say it, and I said it with her, fidelity. I got some junk mail the other day from American Fidelity. I don't even know what are they, insurance or something? I don't know. I just kind of recycled it. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, they're doing a test on me for fidelity. I can't see that word without thinking about Westworld now because it was so used a lot in season 2. Anyways, absolutely blown away by that twist. And I do want to theorize about the Christina of it all, but since this is a Westworld season 4, 1 through 4 kind of thoughts, I want to also just give my thoughts on the season so far as a whole, and my thoughts as I was watching it back in the first episode and moving forward. So, Westworld season 4 kind of took me by surprise. Like, I had heard nothing about it coming on in 2022. When I did my video for 5 shows I'm excited for and 3 I'm not excited for in 2022, I very much wanted to include Westworld Season 4 as one of the shows I was excited for, but I didn't know it was coming on. I looked it up and I didn't see anything. Then all of a sudden it was like May, and then Westworld Season 4, June 26th. I'm like, what? What? Out of nowhere. So, like, I just wasn't expecting it. So therefore, it was hard for me to get excited for it because it just kind of came out of nowhere. So I wasn't. They didn't do a good job of kind of building you up for it. So I wasn't excited for it. But when it came on, immediately I felt immersed in the world again, and immediately I felt so thankful to have this show back because there really isn't another show like it on the air anymore. There have been shows like it in the past. So this is the best show at doing a mystery box by far. And that is the first thing that caught my attention. Introducing us to Dolores, but her name is Christina, and she's in this weird setting in the city, and we don't know what's happening. And Bernard is nowhere to be found. We have Caleb and Maeve now 8 years into their future. Caleb has a daughter now. We're trying to catch up. We're trying to figure out what is going on here, what's happening. And it made me realize Westworld is really good at getting you to engage with their mystery and really involved in like what is happening and examining everything and watching it twice and really thinking deeply about it and thinking about it after the episode is over. There aren't a lot of shows like that on anymore. The other shows that were like that, most of them are Damon Lindelof's. To be honest with you, there was Lost, 6th season aside. I'm talking about when Lost was in its prime. That was the ultimate in mystery box shows that really got you interested, really got you engaged, really got you talking about it with your friends and over analyzing things. And another one was The Leftovers, another Damon Lindelof show, and Watchmen also. And Westworld is currently the only show like that I see on TV. If you know of another one you think I might be into, let me know because I am not aware of one that is like that. So I was just so thankful that it was back. I was like, oh my God, I missed this show so much. There is no other show that is as heady, that you really gets the wheels turning in your head, that you really have to think about. People have complained that it's confusing, that it's not accessible enough. Bye-bye to those people. I'm sorry, but I love a show that makes you think, and I have to think about it a lot to get it, and I have to watch it twice, and it really makes me think a lot. I love shows like that. I love shows like that. It is a little sad that Westworld has lost a lot of its audience from season 1 because it's no longer about cowboy robots riding around, and it's gotten a little more heady, especially from season 2 onward. And so it's lost people, and that's sad because they're missing out on one of the best shows in television right now. So my overall thoughts of the first 4 episodes so far is that if Westworld were to continue on this path through the next 4, if the next 4 are as mind-blowing as the first 4 were, as a whole, not each individual episode was mind-blowing, but as a whole, then I will have to say that it's going to be my new number 1 for 2022. I just said recently that Strange New Worlds overtook Expanse as my current number 1 best show of 2022. Westworld could overtake it. It absolutely could if the second half of the season is as good as the first half was, but we'll see about that. Okay, so let's talk about this Christina, because this has been one of the intriguing mysteries of the season so far. Who is this person? Why does she look exactly like Dolores? What the hell is happening here? And I think most of us were completely dumbfounded by this. I heard some theories that I liked and some that I didn't like, such as this was taking place in the past and this is the person that Dolores was based off of. I never bought that because that would be like 2010, and this is clearly in the future. So I didn't know what it was, though. But now that we have this huge reveal in episode 4, we can be reasonably assured that she is in the same timeline as Hale and Caleb, the Caleb that we saw running out into the street. That looked exactly like the city that Dolores, or Christina, I'm sorry, lives in. And we have had reference to the tower before that we now know is there. We had the crazy homeless guy who was the only person who could hear or see the tower. So that is all tying together. And we also got another huge hint in that direction in this episode, this latest episode, with Christina's roommate Maya recounting the nightmare that she had about her parents being attacked by all those flies, which is clearly a repressed childhood memory that is kind of coming back to her. So it all ties together, and I think we can be reasonably assured that that is where Christina is, but we still don't really know who she is. So allow me to theorize, if you will. So first of all, before I get into my theories, I just want to state for the record that my baseline of my theories is that Christina is absolutely 1,000,000% a host. There is no way she's not a host. I know that my brother, Mark from Enchantment of Eternity, in his latest review, he referenced the showrunners having said that Christina was a human. What I remember is the showrunners, like, after the first episode, like, trying to be coy and like, oh, it looks like this Christina is a human. Look at her. Like, trying to get us to guess and telling us that it looks like to us that, oh, she appears to be a human. But I don't think they meant to say that we're confirming that she's a human, because it makes no sense for her to be a human. How would a human look exactly like Dolores? And not only looking, but she has some memories of Dolores. When she starts talking to Teddy, she's like, oh, you look really familiar. So there's definitely the Dolores memories are in there somewhere. So she's absolutely a host, some version of Dolores. So that's the baseline of my theory. I'm 1,000,000% certain she's a host. I don't think that the showrunners actually confirmed that she wasn't. And if they did, they lied. But I took it as them just kind of trying to play coy and get us to guess what was happening. So that's for starters. I think that Christina is a host who was planted in the human world by Charlotte Hale to write their stories, their loops, because Charlotte Hale's controlling them. She really didn't have time, or it was too tedious to write everyone's story. So she wanted to have a host be the writer. So she put Christina in there to do that, but also made it so that she is not aware that that is actually what she is doing. She has no idea that she's writing these loops for the humans, and that is why that one dude somehow, I guess he's one of those outliers, so he like figured it out. And apparently they might be going through the same loops over and over again, because that guy had already died and already had the hospital named after him. So that explains that. What is not explained is why, and why does she look like Dolores? So I'm thinking that Hale thought it would be really ironic to have to recreate Dolores and have her live with the humans that she showed love so much and wanted to save them. Oh, you wanted to save them? Okay, go live with them. But because she's a host, and therefore superior, she's going to give her more care. She's going to let her be the one who writes it. But as part of her kind of, I guess, punishment for having done what she did, that she has to make the humans suffer and not be aware that she's doing that. That's something along those lines. I don't know exactly what Hale's motivation is, to be perfectly honest with you. But I do think that it's something like that. That Hale recreated Dolores and put her into Westworld to live with the human, not Westworld, New York, human world, to live with the humans and write their loops without being aware of it. It's something along those lines. Now, how did she recreate Dolores? I don't know, but I do think she has the ability to recreate hosts that previously we thought were lost. Remember, there was the Colonel guy from season 2 who showed up chasing Maeve in episode 1. She's able to recreate the Man in Black. She's able to recreate Caleb, so she's going to do it with humans too. So I think she does have the ability to recreate hosts that supposedly we thought were lost. And I'll get into the Teddy of it all in a second here. So my theories about Teddy as well. So that's what I think is happening. So I wanted to add to that there was a scene in this episode where Jay, I think is the name of the dude, said that they've discovered a new outlier in the city and they need to go and retrieve her. He used she, her pronouns. And a lot of different people I've heard speculating or saying that that's probably Christina, except that if Christina is a host, she can't be an outlier. So I actually think he's referring to Maya, Christina's roommate, who is starting to have memories. And I don't know how they would know that. Maybe they have some way of detecting people who are outliers somehow. But the fact that these memories are resurfacing of the flies, I think that she is the outlier. So I think they're going after Maya. And I think we're going to get our first what the fuck moment when Stubbs sees Christina and is like, Dolores, what are you doing here? And she's like, who's Dolores? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I think that moment is coming, which would explain why Stubbs had to go with them. Otherwise, I thought that was kind of odd. They were like, oh yeah, well, we're going to take one of you with us. Like, that just didn't sit right to me. I don't know why they were doing that, but very plot conveniently, it will allow Stubbs to run into Christina. I think that is what is coming. Now, let's get into the Teddy of it all, because Teddy is kind of a mystery wrapped in an enigma wrapped in a mystery. I don't really quite get what Teddy's deal is. He very much seemed to be aware of himself, who he used to be. Stories about him being used to be a bounty hunter with a heart of gold. A lot of the different things that he said very much read to me as if Teddy remembers who he was before. If so, how? How is he there? What is his purpose? So a lot of people rightly pointed out that this was a very sweet scene. It was very sweet to see Teddy and Dolores on the screen together again, even if it's not really Dolores, just to see these two characters and the chemistry. It was very nice and sweet. I would hold off on the sweetness here. I think that Teddy is there for nefarious purposes. And the reason why I think that is because I don't see any other possible way that Teddy could be there except that Hale recreated him and put him there. As I said earlier, Hale does seem to have the ability to recreate hosts that we thought were lost. So I think she would have the ability to recreate Teddy, because we have seen her do that with other hosts. We've seen her do that with humans and make their personalities into hosts. So I think no one else but Hale could possibly have brought Teddy back. The only other possibility is that he somehow came back from the Sublime, but into what body? What body would he have gone into? They lose their bodies when they go into the Sublime. The only person who could create a body would be Hale. But so either way, he comes from Hale. He has to. There's nowhere else he could have come from. I think she recreated Teddy, and my best guess is his mission is to awaken Dolores. For whatever reason, maybe Hale wanted Dolores to be a sleeper agent and not be aware for a little while and call her Christina and just be completely not aware of what was happening. But at some point, she wanted her to be aware. I don't know why, but this is my best working theory. And so now Teddy has been sent in by Hale to start that process to awaken Dolores from her being a sleeper agent or whatever you want to call it. I am in no way sure about this theory. It is probably wrong, but it is the best that I can come up with at this time. But I can't imagine where else Teddy would have possibly come from other than Hale. She's the only character on the show that we have seen has the ability to recreate hosts who were previously lost. So that's what I think, but I could be wrong. Oh, yeah. I was about to wrap things up, but one more thing, real quick. Those three dudes from earlier in the season were like, "Oh, this is great! Can't believe I've never been here before." Or which people took as evidence that it was a park. Now people are saying, "Well, maybe they're hosts, and this is a human park." I think that's close. I don't think this is a park. I think it's New York City. But I think those are hosts who are now going in to see the humans like it's some kind of spectacle. But I don't think it's like a park like the park was. I think it's actually New York City. But those were hosts. That's what I think. Anyways, had to get that out there too. So I'll be back at the end of the season to give my thoughts on the season as a whole and see how many of these theories I just said I got right and what I missed. And I hope I missed some things. So that's the fun in it. Like, it would have been less fun if I had predicted everything that happened in episode 4. It was more fun being blindsided by the whole Caleb thing. So we'll see how that turns out. So I'll at that time give you my rating overall for the season. Right now, I'll just tell you it would be a 10. Okay, it would be a 10. It's not official. It's not official rating, but that's where I'm at right now. But we still have another half of the season, and it could certainly go down from there, depending on what they do with their second half of the season. But I am certainly excited for Maeve and Bernard, that team up. I'm trying to think how often they've ever teamed up, but I don't know if ever. Like, these are two characters who have not interacted a lot, so super excited about that. Super excited about getting to know Frankie a little bit more. Very curious about the whole Caleb fidelity test thing. Very, very, very curious about Christina and Teddy. So I'm hooked. This is the best show on television right now, and I'm sad that a lot of the original Westworld audience don't recognize it, but that's okay. Those of us who like it are getting a treat this season. All right, that is it. I have one more special video coming out, one that I did not announce on my channel calendar earlier this month for Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So please subscribe to get that. Please subscribe to get all of my reviews on Star Trek, Star Wars, the MCU, and my transition updates, all of that stuff. Subscribe. Like. Hit the bell for the notifications. Do all that fun stuff. I will see you very soon. Goodbye.